Friday, October 28, 2022. I'm Jarrin Jackson. I love America. Always about the death, the burial, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's the gospel to save. Ask me how, and I'll tell you. Pretty simple. There's a lot of people that say that they know how to do stuff. In fact, the news item of the day is that Elon Musk has finally purchased Twitter, that trading on Twitter has stopped. We're going to unpack that. We're going to be talking about Ben Shapiro today. We're going to be talking about paralleling economies, and then we're going to end it with Aslan roaring at the witch. First, I'd like to ask you to go ahead and share this with other people. Monday through Friday, by God's grace, we do this at 11 a.m. Central. Bible-focused, combat veteran experience. It matters where you get your information. That's a really big part about what this stream's about. Last 24 hours, billionaire Elon Musk has finally purchased Twitter. It's official. They stopped trading on the stock market this morning. Already there has been waves of information about Elon Musk firing the CEO, firing the woman that was responsible for kicking Donald Trump off the platform. And as I'm getting caught up in this, because these are generally my political desires happening, I want the destruction of big tech. I want people who are trying to control things to fail and to not control things. I ask myself the question, what's really happening? And do I recognize it? What's really happening, and do I recognize it? Who is in control? And I recognize that the subtext of Elon Musk buying Twitter is how. Ask me how. Ask me how to be a billionaire. Ask me how to take over and do a hostile takeover of a big tech company. Ask me how to bring in new perspectives and new ways of thinking. Ask me how to defeat the godless commies. And I'm recognizing that even though, hear me, even though my political beliefs seem to be coming back into freedom, seem to be unleashed in certain regards, I recognize there's something very pivotal. And I want to hammer this because I think this is very important moving forward. Our culture, for the last century, has had public schools. Public schools was based on John Dewey. Dewey hated Jesus, and because Dewey hated Jesus, he gave us factories of knowledge. Fox, if you will. He gave us a bunch of Fox. And these Fox factories of knowledge produced people that now consider themselves widgets. And the widgetry of America over the last 100 years, this has taken decades, folks, last 100 years, has made it to where now there's very few people actually doing the stuff. There's very few people actually doing things that are new, doing things that test and challenge and rival. There's very few warriors. There's very few people willing to burn the boats to build new ones to cross greater oceans. I think one of the challenges of our day, this spiritual war in through the eyes and in through the ears for the domination, the key terrain of the mind, is that in order to have a different perspective, you need to have a different foundation. And a lot of people are unwilling to investigate where they stand because they're being lulled away and they're being made to be curious about how to do stuff. We're more about how instead of who. And because we're more about the how do you do this, and less about the who do we do this for, we get people like Elon Musk doing hostile takeovers for Twitter, and we recognize that, conservatism, come back. I mean, I was posting stuff last night on Telegram where it's like, yes. So I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. Don't hear the fact that I'm dissatisfied and I don't like what's going on. What we get is a culture where we're waiting for other people to do this stuff. We're waiting for other people to build. We're waiting for someone else to have the big idea that we can hitch to, that we can say, okay, I'm on board with that. Plant the seed there. That's what we get back to Ben Shapiro on. But Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter is not really about Twitter or big tech or free speech. It's about who. It's about who is doing the stuff. How is important, but who is important. I want to play a video for you, if I may, that kind of summarizes things. And I figured out that if today was the day that Elon Musk purchased Twitter and it's official, then I need to do my best in order to communicate with you, the people, memes. So I'm going to try to use a bunch of memes to communicate throughout this live stream. The very first one is this. Commentary follows.
Listen up! There is a storm coming like nothing you have ever seen, and not a one of you is prepared for it. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, amen. How many of us, for me, this really got vibrant and clarified March 28, 2020, when two police officers walked into my Subway restaurants and shut them down. They didn't just shut me down, they shut everybody else down. But I said 28th, March 18 of 2020, local police officers came into my restaurants that were open for business and shut them down. This is after 3 days of record sales, record revenue they never recovered. I knew at the very beginning that COVID was not about COVID. I learned at the very beginning that COVID was about control. And so for 2+ years, people like me, people like you have been saying these things. And there's been a lot of people, because of who they pay attention to, have not given mind to consider the fact that what they stand on is a lie. They haven't investigated why they believed what they believe, and so they rejected it. And yet, with Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, it seems like the landscape, certainly the digital battlefield, has shifted. And whereas many people would celebrate that, I look at this and I say, have we yet learned our lesson? Have we learned the lesson of what it was like to be under control on a whim? Because from one perspective, you switch one person who doesn't believe in Jesus, who's a billionaire and runs Twitter, for another person who doesn't believe in Jesus, who's a billionaire and now runs Twitter. In either case, Twitter is still ran by someone who doesn't believe in Jesus and is able to control the content on that platform. And so that makes me ask the question, have we learned our lesson? Which, of course, this gets back to ask me how. Like, how would you know that you've learned your lesson? I posted on Telegram a couple hours ago this idea about telling the truth, or telling the future. Really starting to hone in on people telling the future. Most of what people do is shaped by what they believe. What they believe is tied to what they hope. If hope is perverted with dystopian lies, because liars lying about the future don't know the future, then hope doesn't inspire action that denies the believed future. You'll never act in a way that you don't believe because your belief informs your actions. Hope besets itself to idle against believed future, which fulfills the prophecy for the dystopians. The people who are in charge of telling people what to think and casting the visions, selling the visions of the future, those are the ones that are in control. And so it follows that whoever owns Twitter is still in the same capacity to influence what people think, because the platform is still controlled by one person instead of the people that are on the platform investigating what they stand on. People aren't looking to Jesus and reading the Bible to figure out what to think. They're looking at people who are in boxes or own the platforms that people in the boxes are on. And as a result, we're not asking how we got here, and we're definitely not learning what to do about it. We're just temporarily taking a reprieve and rejoicing in the fact that one of us finally nagged a big tech titan. I think this is dangerous. I think this is dangerous in ways that won't manifest now. But just like that video where the guy was saying, there's a storm coming and you're not prepared for the storm. I think that this is a moment that I want to talk about right now. Because I think that one of the storms that's coming is that if you are not building your worldview on Christ, if you're not looking back to what the truth is, then you're going to be deceived, hoodwinked, and you're going to have things smuggled into your worldview because the way that you're being influenced by people who don't love Jesus have different priorities. With that, I also want to focus on the idea that so many people are talking about the future, things to come. Watch this. For those of you all who watch certain things, Red October is a familiar phrase. And at the beginning of Red October, or the beginning of October, people who say Red October are sitting here saying, it's Red October. Red October. And here we are 28 days in, and how do we know it? Was it red? What was the thing that was red? What happened? Was there a thing? Was there an event? All of these intimations, look that word up, about things that have not happened, but because they could, you'll be fearful of their happening, and that fear in the future of something that hasn't yet happened will impact you today. And I hate that. I hate it. I hate it because while there is an order, there is a notion of predictability. I mean, the exact idea that people can try to think that they can predict the future is a reflection on the order of the universe. And if the universe is ordered, that should make you ask who ordered the universe, which gets you back to who knows the future. You notice how people will recognize the fact that everything has an order to it, but then they'll quickly pivot away from Jesus to make their own predictions about the future, therein line taking his place. That's my point. Asking me how, this little thing right here, is to say, well, the stock market goes up and up and up, and then all of a sudden it crashes. Wouldn't you know how I grab the balloons to fly away so that I am impervious to the crash? Can I answer that real fast? It's pretty simple. Jesus Christ. It's very simple to know that our faith informs how we function. Who we have hope in shapes our belief, and our belief drives our actions. How many Americans, how many Christians in America, how many Christians worldwide are behaving as though they believe that Christ reigns? How many people believe that the world is going to get increasingly worse and worse and worse and worse, and yet we still have electricity, we still have air conditioning, we still have grocery stores where we can get into our gas-powered cars and drive down to and swipe a thing and then get it in exchange? Put yourself 1,000 years ago. You might think that people were more pietist or things were more pronounced for Christianity back then, but look at the quality of life. Why do things get better and better and better and better over time? Is it because the devil, who's the thief and who's been a liar since the beginning and a murderer from the beginning, is in charge? Is the thief and the murderer in charge of making things better and better and better and better and better? Is this what he would do? Or is this the outgrowth, is this the byproduct of people who believe in Jesus directly engaging creation? Do we believe that we can have an impact or not? Because there's a lot of people who do this. There's a lot of people that say, yep, I'm reading my paper, things coming outside, I should build a bunker. Amen. There you go. I think it's about time for me to build a bunker. I reject this portrayal. I reject it. Why do I reject it? Because it trades on the future. It trades on the expectation that things will get continually worse whenever you can just observe that things have gotten better and better over time. My grandparents, I only have one that's still alive, but my grandparents lived through the Great Depression. They lived through the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma. You mean to tell me that the quality of life today is a lot worse than what it was then? The issue is not how we do stuff. The issue is who we do it for. The issue is that we're engaging based on what we believe. We're not believing what we're told because people have platforms. Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter should not change your posture towards Christ. Elon's purchase of Twitter should not change your outlook on America. Because they're disconnected. They affect each other, certainly, but they're not sequential. They're not conditional. It's not cause and effect. And this is one of the greatest lies that Americans believe, is that they've been put into a box that are only controlled by a very few people. Only billionaires can do things to shape the world. Oh, I sure am glad that one billionaire bought the company from another billionaire, so now that my life is better because that billionaire owns the company instead of that billionaire owning the company. But there's still billionaires owning the same companies. Why do we interpret our existence, our quality of life, and the future according to companies? Do you not understand that if there were a very deceptive person, Satan, if there were a very deceptive person, then he would try to organize entities that control. And one of the things that he would rely on is people believing his portrayal of the future. And if you believe his portrayal of the future, you're going to behave as though that's true. We're going to get into paralleling economies here in a second. Because a parallel economy is just the actuation that I don't want to play by the rules. I'm going to do what I want to do, not what you're trying to force me to do. Which, if you think about it, is the function of a free people. It's the duty of Christians. It's the responsibility of people who love their neighbors. To do as you feel led to do as you feel that is right towards your fellow man, towards your family, towards your country. That's the calling. That's the responsibility. That's the duty. And yet how many Americans, how many Christians in America will sit back and say, well, I can't because, they don't have ballots printed, so I have to use the machine. They don't have this, so I have to. It's Friday, folks. We need to go to war with this crap. This is evil. You know another reason why I don't believe in these future predictions? Because of the Mayans. That's right. Way back in the day, the Mayans predicted that there was going to be an apocalypse in 2012. They didn't even see the Spanish coming. Right? Why am I going to believe someone's portrayal of the future if that portrayal of the future is not what the Bible talks about? In short, Jesus says to his apostles, all authority has been given to me on heaven and earth. Go therefore and disciple the nations, baptize them and teach them to obey. Is Christ going to give a mission that isn't going to be fulfilled? Or is Christ going to give a mission that's going to fail miserably? And he's going to have to come back and save it all because what he told us to do, we're unable to do, even the fact that he's with us. Like, that doesn't make sense in my mind. But it's changed everything. It's changed how I think, it's changed how I believe, and it's changed how I process information. Because if you are looking at this world, if you're sharing this content, I'd appreciate it if you do. How many Christians are giving their attention? How many Americans, how many patriots are giving their attention to people that drive the news cycle? To people that own the platforms that I'm now in a box on? How many people are just giving it to them? For the low price of accessibility. For the low price of whatever is pushed through this thing. This, to me, is the thing that matters a lot. And this is the war that we're in. And so I'd like to do, if I can, a more specific dive into that war. Humble coffee is air roasted, a technique used by less than 1% of coffee roasters worldwide. Because our beans don't come into contact with a hot metal surface, we get a dark, full-body taste without the bitterness you get in most coffees. Humble Coffee's mission is to share the word, to mail Bibles to people in every zip code in America. Order the best coffee you've ever had today at humblecoffee.store. So Elon Musk purchased Twitter, and already people are saying that free speech is over. They're already saying Elon Musk's idea of free speech will help ruin America. This is panic. This is people who can't take a countervailing perspective. This shows the weakness, philosophically, of the people that have been in charge. Go with me on this. A lot of people will talk about Elon Musk purchasing Twitter and the fact that now they're going to bring back all the people that will cancel. And we can talk about that if you wanted to. But what I think it looks like is that if people's response to Musk buying a big tech company is that now free speech in America is going to be destroyed, think about this. People's understanding of reality just changed as soon as a big tech company switched from one billionaire to another. And whenever it switched from one billionaire to another, now there are all these ideological conclusions, these forecasts being made about what's bedrock in America, free speech, because a company switched ownership. That is a fig leaf of a philosophy with respect to something that is internal and integral to every person. These people are whimsical. The godless commies that believe that free speech is going to be destroyed because Elon Musk now owns Twitter are the types of people who don't really know what they believe. They just want they want reflected back to them what they prefer. And if their preferences can change based on what this social media platform allows and doesn't cancel, then whoever's in charge of the platform is really puppeting the people that's on it. And that's the issue. So many people have designed their digital cocoon to reflect what they want. Their hashtags and their Pride Months and their Black Lives Matter and all the crap that goes on. These people have had the digital utopia that they've wanted. They've crafted it. They've banned the people who disagree with them. They've gotten rid of the people that just ask questions. They impugn and assassinate the characters of people that would dare bring forth a biblical gospel, that would dare look at these people and say, I think that you're wrong. They've gotten rid of all that. They've eliminated what was functioning as their digital conscience. Right? They've eliminated their own conscience. They've outsourced that to the public utility. This is the problem of social proofing. Well, this guy's got a lot of followers, therefore he's right. That's garbage thinking. But you can tell that a lot of people on Twitter have thought like that. Well, where's your blue check mark? Where's the hashtag? Where's the digital media campaign? When's the last time that you got 1 million views on internet? Whatever. These people have outsourced their existence to a digital platform, and they have been told, they have been commanded to worship it, and so they have. And now a new God has come in and bought it, and now they're like, wait, what? Everything is worthless. One, that shows you that these people need Jesus. Two, it shows that their worldview is garbage. But three, now look at what they're doing. They're using their forecasts of the future to now fuel their conduct for the day. Which, if you investigate their forecast of the future, you can tell what they believe in. And what they believe in is that these social media platforms, these big tech companies, and the absence of disagreement is the thing that gave them value. They were gods. They were idols. They were able to step into their echo chamber and receive worship. They were able to get the good vibes and all the crap that goes along with all this garbage. And now it's been dashed. And so I see an evangelism opportunity. I see an opportunity to say, hey, bro, believe in Jesus because he reigns. And no matter if you get kicked off a platform, shadow banned, algorithmed, or whatever, he's still king. You know what? If you can imagine a scenario in which you hated the fact that men could become women and women become men and they would dance sexually in front of children, if you could imagine a world where you would reject that, imagine that happening over the course of a very short time. And yet Christ is still in charge. So no matter how much you think bad things can get, Christ is still on the throne. I see an evangelism opportunity. Musk sees a business opportunity. He fired the dudes that were in charge. What's this guy's? Parag Agarwal, Chief Financial Officer Ned Siegel, and Vijaya Gandhi, Head of Legal Policy, Trust and Safety, were all fired. So the woman, that's Vijaya Gandhi, she's the head of the legal policy. She's the one that kicked Trump off Twitter whenever he was president. CEO Parag Agarwal, some dude, he was the CEO, and then Ned Siegel. So the top three executives, gone. And this shows, in my mind, that Elon is bringing more of a business acumen. At least at first. He could always, go back to Neuralink, and we'll get to that in a second. Elon is bringing more of a business acumen just to chop the head off. Elon supports Neuralink. Elon's not a Christian. So Elon can be politically aligned with me temporarily, but ultimately he is spiritually opposite. The dude doesn't know Jesus. He needs to know Jesus. And if you consider people's position with respect to Jesus, you'll get a lot of information about where you kind of should be. And that matters, and I'll touch on this when we get to the Ben Shapiro stuff. That matters because your posture towards Christ impacts everything else. And Americans in politics haven't talked about Christ. Americans in business haven't talked about Christ, almost as though by design. And if the biggest tech companies are purchased by billionaires, and there's not a conversation about Christ within all this stuff, one, it shows you that Christ operates underneath the net, he operates in ways that aren't going to blip up in the headlines. But two, it suggests that the ways of the world, the powers and the principalities, are trying to move the tectonic plates without Jesus as part of the conversation. As soon as you get that, as soon as you internalize that observation, you'll see things a lot clearer. With respect to getting rid of the CEO, the financial officer, and the woman who banned Trump, Elon is deploying his Tesla engineers to look at the source code, to really root out the algorithms and the shadow banning and everything else. Watch this.
Twitter, we are inching closer and closer to the close of this deal. Kurt Wagner and I have reported in the last 10 minutes that Tesla engineering talent have been inside Twitter's San Francisco headquarters this Thursday, evaluating and assessing the underlying code which powers the Twitter platform to help Elon Musk understand it. There have been meetings, what they called code pairing, where you sit down and work on it together. But all the signs from both sides, the debt side and the equity financing side, and what I'm hearing from sources, we'll get a close of this deal Friday as expected.
There's a brain drain going on at Twitter. Twitter has had an employee exodus. These people, and of course it's not going to clip, so let me clip this real fast. Let me bring this up. I'm sorry, folks. This is a PNG file. It's not a JPEG file. And because it's not a JPEG file, I have to now save it as a JPEG so that I can drag it in there, but I think that it's an important graphic to show. This is why you need a producer. This is why you can support livelocal.store so we can do that. There you go. There's the JPEG. Where Twitter talents go after they leave. So these are the people on the left side. 581 people have left Twitter. And on the right side, the companies that they've gone to. The majority have gone to Google, then Meta, Amazon, they're on blah, 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 down to YouTube. So this has been the brain drain of Twitter. This is a a graphic representation of Twitter's talent exodus. So this is when, and the way that I look at this is where Twitter's